Welcome to episode 63 of the Concealed Taco Dudes podcast.
Yeah.
Yeehaw! All right, tonight we have me, Taco.
Al Nelson, NOE Bullet Molds.
Jason and Henry from Concealment Solutions.
Yeah, if you hear any barking or whining, it's probably Jason.
Heavy pant.
It's Jason, not the dog.
No. Henry has been neglected. I took off for the weekend and he was missing me, so he wanted to come hang out. So he's here. Lay down.
All right. Okay, let's go ahead and hit some sponsors real quick.
Well, since we got Al here, what's new at NOE, Al?
Well, there's quite a bit going on. I'm going to say we just got our new Haas lathe in. Our little
That sounds fancy.
our ST10Y with live tooling even.
How much does something like that set you back?
Whole bunches. We're into
Whole bunches.
Yeah, it's about a $95,000 machine.
Wow.
The bank's really happy to see me. Yep.
I was going to say, you're going to have to sell a lot of those bushings or
A lot of bushings and a lot of
hollow points,
yeah.
hollow point molds,
You
hollow point
betcha.
pins to pay that thing off.
But it's going to be it's going to be good. It's
What's that going to do for you that you have not been able to do previously?
well, right now we've got kind of a tube tie.
Bottleneck.
A real bottleneck. Yep, a real bottleneck. On anything that's round, has to go through the single lathe that we've got, and it's not a Y-axis or live tooling. It's
Okay.
just a conventional lathe.
Okay.
So half the stuff that we turn on it, we have to turn around and turn back to a mill and run on a mill too. But now
Okay.
with this,
So this is going to save you at least one
you
process
bet.
in what you're
Yep,
doing.
on about half of the product that we've been turning out through it.
Nice.
So we'll be able to dedicate one machine to RG pins for the
Okay.
hollow points, bushings for the mold blocks.
Okay.
We'll use the old lathe for that, and then all of the push-through size die bodies, the new bushings that we've got, the expander plugs, all that stuff will go through on the one step on the new machine.
See, and that's
Cool.
cool. That'll save you time,
Yeah.
which allows you, saving time in
Time
one
is
process.
money.
You bet.
Well, it allows them to make more.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's been
Catch up on inventory.
our big problem right now, and I apologize to everybody that I owe bushings to, but we're going to get caught up. We're going to get caught up.
Good.
It's good to hear. Good to hear.
Cool. Well, what discount code for our listeners?
Yeah, we're still using the old
FLT.
FLT001 for 10% off.
Nice. Cool. We also have Tackware at tackware.com. Check them out for the latest titanium gadgets and everyday
Yes,
carry gear, flashlights, and tactical aprons.
Yeah, that titanium toothpick, I mention it almost every
I
time.
know.
It comes in handy. Like we went camping this weekend,
Uh-huh.
and nobody carries a toothpick when you're camping,
Right.
but I do.
Yeah.
And it's made out of titanium.
Yep.
So
Never
anyways,
dulls.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. So check out Tackware at tackware.com. Use the code TACO10
Save
at
you
checkout.
10%.
Save you 10% on your order. Utah Air Guns. The finest allotment of air guns out there. They're very picky about what they stock.
Yeah, they make sure that they test stuff out,
Yeah.
and when they find something good, then they stock it. And then since it's good, then they run out of stock because
Right.
because it's good and
Right.
everyone wants it.
Well, and they have a good price range of stuff too. So there's intermediate stuff that you can get into that's still going to be good quality.
Yeah, and we've mentioned on the air several times the Venturi Avenger.
Uh-huh.
That one seems like a really good price point gun for
And-
$300.
$300.
Yeah, it's a regulated gun, so
Is it a bolt action?
yes, it's a bolt action. I
Okay.
think it has kind of like that little sliding lever.
Right.
It's been a while since I've seen it at the
But
shop.
it's a multi-shot.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was going to say, I stopped by Utah Air Guns, and I think I know what I want to get for my next air gun. I just got to, get money somehow.
Yeah. What's
So,
that?
I think I'm going to go with the Dream Light, the FX Dream Light.
Okay.
And you can upgrade that little tube on the bottom with is it a carbon fiber tank or
Okay, the
fiberglass
bigger air tank.
Yeah, the bigger air tank for capacity. What I'm shooting for with this build or this gun is I'm trying to replicate the handiness of that Ed Gun Lacey
Yeah.
gun that we took on that little critter hunt.
Uh-huh.
I want to have the lightweight compactness and, ease of carry and stuff like that, but I want more air capacity.
Right.
And having the magazine fed,
Right.
that will
Multiple
help.
shots.
Yeah, multiple shots, so you can, if you need to do like a quick double tap,
Right.
bolt action double tap,
Yeah.
then you can.
Well, I just
But-
want to point out that you inadvertently did admit again that your FX is too big and too heavy.
Well, yours isn't the same.
No, it's not.
It's a little bit shorter, but it weighs about the same. So
No,
most of the weight
mine's
is in
lightweight.
No, it's
Mine
not.
weighs about as much as my
You gotta-
1022 does.
You gotta hike up a steep mountain all day long, and then come back and tell me if you think it's heavy or light. But,
Okay.
yeah, so I'm going for an ultra lightweight build that's like shorter, compact, easy to hike.
Yeah.
And the Dreamlight, you can really modify that one with the stock. You can.
Is it a bullpup or is it?
I don't think it's a bolt. I don't think it's a bullpup, but
Okay.
you can modify the stock to take or that you can use like the receiver that takes AR parts and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So it's
But
kinda like a
what I really
chassis
want,
rifle?
you can make it as a chassis rifle,
Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
But the stock one, the stock, I guess, the stock it comes with,
Uh-huh.
is pretty lightweight and just simple, but it has a place where I think I can mount a sling.
Oh, okay.
And so, having a sling would have been awesome for when you're hiking up the mountain, so you have both hands free to grab on rocks as you're climbing and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's what I'm thinking is the Dreamlight. Unless, and I don't think I'll be able to afford it till next year sometime. So maybe somebody will come out with something
Something
that
even better.
is better. But while I was there, he was showing me some of the pistols that they have, and there's a German-made pistol,
Uh-huh.
and I forget what it's called. And then FX has a pistol also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but those are pretty cool. And he got a new long eye relief scope in stock over there, and
For the pistols?
for the pistols.
Okay.
And anyways, I spent probably over an hour just looking at stuff and
Yeah.
talking with them and whatnot.
Huh.
So that's
Very cool. Check
Utah
out
Air Guns.
UtahAirguns.com. Really cool website. You can build your own rifle on there, and it'll build the price as you do it.
As you add more options, you add more cost.
Exactly. Well, let's move on. The bulk of our show, I think we're going to use catching up on listener feedback.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of listener feedback, and if you don't hear your listener feedback in this episode, I'm sorry.
It's
but,
because it wasn't good enough.
Jason didn't think it was good enough.
Whoa,
So
I haven't even looked at the listener feedback. Don't throw me under the bus.
yeah. So the first one is from Chad R, and he, we had that news story in Flower Mound.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were just wondering where it was and stuff.
It's in Texas, isn't
It is. So Chad R responded. He said, news story about Flower Mound. Areas of Flower Mound are a bit liberal, so this doesn't surprise me at all. Still loving the podcast.
Huh.
So it's kind of a cool insight as to the location of that self-defense
Yeah.
story.
Cool.
And then we have another one from Hoflo, Hobart Floyd. He says, hello CTD. Sounds like a new drug or an STD. I received the prize package. Thanks so much. Very cool. I will send pictures as soon as I get internet service back. Tell Stan that his DNA was in the incubator, but when we lost power due to Hurricane Sally, well, I have to start over.
Oh.
Oh, too bad, right?
He was going to make him a little
a
little
Stan clone. Yeah.
Mini me.
Yep. And he says, I just finished listening to episode 61 and had a comment about the self-defense in the news segment. True, you don't go with stupid people to stupid places to do stupid things, but sometimes stupid people and stupid places find you.
That's true.
And that is very true.
Well, and that's why we carry.
Yeah.
And
he says, people are crazy enough at normal times, and with the added pressures of COVID, crazy politics, and protests/riots, they are even crazier.
For sure.
That is for sure. In the news,
Yeah.
you see it. Add in a natural disaster like the Western fires or a hurricane, and normally sane people get stupid. Locally, some of the gas stations that had both power and gas after the hurricane were swarmed and had to hire armed security due to fights breaking out.
Oh,
That is
gosh.
crazy. I guess I could
Yeah.
imagine that, like if people are already kind of
Yeah.
high strung and everything
Yeah.
with politics, everything going on. Plus, you add the natural disaster,
And when you're not
then limited
prepared-
resources,
Right.
and
Yep.
people. I mean, you look at Black Friday. People fight
Oh gosh.
over
Yeah.
like the latest
Saving 20 bucks
Nintendo
on
game or whatever
something,
people
yeah.
are.
Yep.
Tickle Me Elmo, whatever is the
Right.
latest thing.
Well, what's interesting about this is when you look at society, and the bigger the city you are, the greater these percentages are. But there's a percentage of people that are both basically law abiding.
Yeah.
When things start to go bad, there is a percentage of the population that will capitalize. They use that as an excuse
To
behave badly.
To behave how they really want to behave.
Right. And that's what we've seen with a lot of these protest riots and stuff like that. Is
Wait,
people are
the
like,
air quotes peaceful protests.
Right, right. There's another percentage of the people that are, once they see other people behaving that way, they will jump in.
The sheep.
Right,
The sheep,
right,
yeah.
the sheep. But when you're talking natural disasters and stuff like that, all of a sudden, people that are normally law-abiding, that are normally, well thought people, start to do things that you wouldn't suspect because they get desperate. And
Yeah,
that's what
desperate
scares you.
people turn
Yeah.
into
Right.
a whole nother creature.
So how do you avoid becoming desperate? Because it can happen to any of us.
So he has a couple
He
of
got some
more stuff.
suggestions?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I'm gonna finish. He says
Okay.
there was a curfew imposed to limit looting of properties abandoned due to flooding or major damage. Fences were down, lights were out, and windows were open due to no power. There was ample craziness everywhere. So what do you do? Question mark. And he has three things. He says, one, be ready. Florida's hurricane motto is the first 72 are on you.
Yeah,
So you got to be prepared for at least 72 hours.
yeah.
And we've talked about the little 72-hour kits or go bags or
Bug out bag.
bug-out
whatever.
bags.
Yeah.
Having a little bit of food, like bags with food, clothing, supplies that you would need.
Yeah.
I would throw in there like firearm and ammo, like
Yep.
to protect yourself from crazy people
Yeah.
doing crazy
And
things.
if you normally carry, it's just going to be an extra.
Yeah, and you don't have to leave a firearm in the bag.
It's
You
not
probably
a bad
have,
idea, though.
but if you have a gun that's on your holster and you just
Yeah.
grab that and put it on, like you wear it every day anyways.
Yeah.
Then you just put it on.
That's
So,
true. That's true.
That's what I would do. Is I have my Glock 19 in my Concealment Solutions holster,
Uh-huh.
and just grab that, throw it on my belt, and then go if I have to go quick.
I'd do both.
If I have a little bit of time, I grab my
Prefer a 12
AR-15.
gauge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd take the AR-15, and a loaded mag is 30 rounds, and that's
Right.
better than a lot of options.
Yeah. Yep.
So he says, be prepared to be entirely self-sufficient for 3 days. Even though the hurricane was not supposed to hit here and not supposed to be within 1 mile an hour of Category 3, I had gas for generators, food, water, car tanks filled, etc. A lot of people didn't. I run my generator for a couple of hours a quarter to make sure it works.
Yeah.
My neighbor kept his in a box for years. Guess who's started?
Yep.
That's another thing too.
Yeah.
So generators, you have to cycle the gas.
Yeah. If the gas goes bad, it'll varnish up the carburetor.
Yeah.
It'll gum it all
And I think
up.
also there's things you can do like not use the corn gas.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
The ethanol.
The ethanol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That helps it to not gum
a little
up as
harder
fast.
to find, but
Yeah.
there are a lot of stations, at least around here, that you can get ethanol-free gas.
Yeah, so that
a little
will
more
last a
for
little
it.
longer. There's also little additives like what
Yep.
is it? They call-
Fuel stabilizer.
Fuel stabilizer. That
Seafoam. and-
You should
Yeah.
have fuel stabilizer anyway if you own a lawnmower or a rototiller or a
Right.
weed eater or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you put a little bit of fuel stabilizer in it
At the end of the season.
at the end of the season, last mow, so that you know it's getting into the carburetor, you won't have any problems.
Yeah, you'll
at the
start
beginning
right
of
up next year.
Yeah.
So then he says, 2, be prepared to protect yourself and your family, anywhere, anytime. As I said, the normal lights, fences, law enforcement presence go out the window when disaster strikes. Be aware, be safe, be ready.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to the fact that no one is responsible for your safety except you.
Right.
And if you are the father, husband, or I guess mother, you are responsible for your kids.
Oh, yeah.
And the best way to protect, the great equalizer is if you can carry a handgun or a gun. That's the greatest
But see,
equalizer.
his family's not going to be one of those that's getting in fights at the gas station.
Yeah, because he already has
Because
gas.
he's prepared.
And that was another good idea is that, I try to normally not let my tank in my car go under half tank.
Yeah.
I try and fill
We
it up.
used to be good at that. We're
My-
not.
It's harder and harder.
My wife is really bad at this.
Yeah.
Because the new cars are all fancy and tell you everything you need to know.
Right.
So her van tells you this many miles till empty, and she will run it till
Oh,
it
that's
says
my wife.
5 miles or
Yeah.
whatever, and you're like, what if that thing is, miscalculates and you have no gas?
Or,
She's like,
or you
this-
have an emergency in the middle of the night.
Oh, totally.
So I had a neighbor. I was teaching a preparedness class to this group, and he brought up a point or a story that they were older and not in the greatest of health, but he said, "Yeah, this one night, before we went home, I just felt like I should top off the tank because it's pretty low," and topped off the tank, and one of them had a medical emergency in the middle of the night, and he had to run him to the hospital, and he said, "I didn't have enough gas in my car to get to the hospital if I hadn't filled it up."
Yeah.
So, it's just like we say, everything you do to prep should make your daily life better.
Yep.
Even
Yeah.
if nothing bad happens.
Yeah, we had the local store just had a case lot sale.
Uh-huh.
And, my wife was asking what to buy. I said, buy
Everything.
all the stuff you normally buy
Yeah.
that we normally eat. And so we just have extra of it.
Right. That's-
And then we eat it. It's not like we're
Yeah.
buying
Right.
this useless stuff that's going to go bad and then a waste of money.
I hear people all the time, "Oh, I don't have food stores. I can't
Yeah.
eat that stuff." And I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you normally
Yeah.
eat? You
Yeah.
know? It's like, do you just eat at McDonald's? Because, that doesn't store very good.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. So then his third thing is it says, know your neighbors.
Yeah.
During this hurricane and the previous two, our neighborhood pulled together, helping each other pick up patch roofs and fences and share food.
Yeah.
So knowing your neighbor and having goodwill,
Yeah.
just even being, you don't even have to be best friends with your neighbors.
No.
But you got to know 'em.
You should know their names.
Know their
You
names.
should know a little bit about them. It's going to make a situation like that much easier for everybody to deal with.
Yeah, and you might have a need for one item,
Right.
and if you know them, they will be more likely to
Right.
help you out.
Yeah, and don't be the guy that is protecting your food stash with your AR.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy. Be the guy that's gonna be helpful, and it's karma. It'll
Yeah.
come back. It'll
definitely
pay
will.
back.
Yep.
And I know people like my brother, one of the most prepared people I know. He's got food storage coming out his ears, but they have certain food storage items that they store that they don't necessarily love, like Top Ramen and stuff like that. I mean, that's
Yeah,
That's
for
like
barter food or whatever.
or if there's a long-term disaster and they're concerned about what storage they have for themselves, he's like, I'm still going to help people that need help, but
They'll get the top ramen.
I'm giving them the top ramen,
Yeah.
and they'll be grateful for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's all good advice. And then he finishes by saying that because of the weather and stuff, he might not be able to participate in the 7-cent taco challenge, but he'll try.
yeah,
And then he says, thanks again, Hobart Floyd, not Hoflo.
yeah, that's how you referred to him, is
Yeah.
Hoflo.
Of course. All right, we got one from Greg G. And this was in response to our 3 guns that you would sell if you had to,
Oh,
and
okay.
3 ones you would keep.
You would keep.
And we
Yeah,
asked for
after I went home, I got thinking about things. I would have changed my list a little more, but that's okay.
Yeah, so Greg G, he says 3 guns I would sell is number 1, Tangfolio Hunter 45 ACP, and number 2, Sig Sauer Max Michel 45 ACP. And number 3, a Gary Reeder 454 Casull Alaskan Hunter. So it seems like there's a kind of like a theme going there. He must not like 45s, or he has a lot of them.
Yeah.
So, and then he says 3 guns I wouldn't part with would be my Ruger 45 Colt 6.5 inch. That's been with me for quite a while. A Ruger Super Blackhawk 480 that's been modified for cast bullet shooting, and a Bullberry Legacy 454 Casull 10-inch Encore. So the theme is he shoots lots of 45s.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's kind of interesting. So he would keep the revolvers, sell the 45 ACPs. But I guess the one was a 454 Casull. The Alaskan, isn't that like a little, short, like a almost like a snubby?
I think it is.
That would
it's
be
like a
a bear
2
gun.
or 3 inch
Yeah.
barrel 454, I think.
I think that would be that'd be one to go for me.
Yeah,
Like,
me too.
Yeah.
That makes your little pocket carry gun look good.
Yeah. I mean, my
Feel good,
little
too.
Scandium 357. I
Right.
don't know, that 454 might hurt a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. And then Robin J says, new code. I got in the van and there was no candy. So
Nice.
that's a new coupon code option. Brian C says, hi guys, mine would have to be, this is referring to the 3 guns,
The 3 guns,
to
okay.
keep and sell.
Uh-huh.
He said, mine would have to be my grandpa's Model 70 and 30 Government Aught 6.
That's the one he's going to sell.
That's the one he's going to keep.
Oh, okay.
I would assume, because no one should sell anything that came from Grandpa.
Right.
Yeah. He says, I have the original sales receipt from 1946 when he
That's
bought
awesome.
it. That is awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And he says he bought it on an elk hunt in Rifle, Colorado. I shot my first deer with it at 14 or 15. So when he was 14 or 15 years, he got his
Yeah.
first deer with the 30-06.
Nice.
It's got to push him back a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 30-06. It's a classic cartridge.
Yeah. It'll never
never
be
die.
it'll never be obsolete.
Yeah.
There might be improvements on it, of course, but it's never going to
It'll
be a
always
useless
do.
cartridge.
Yeah, it'll always be able to do what it needs to do.
Right.
Yeah. Something unusual about it is that it has notches in the receiver for 5-round stripper clips.
Huh.
Awesome shooting old rifle. Thanks for an entertaining show. P.S. I got a Wilson Combat 458 Socom barrel kit recently. Came with the BCG SLR, adjustable gas block, and stiffer spring. Finally got equipped to load for it. Been reloading for about 30 years. Awesome round. It's a fun round.
Yeah.
You talk about like it's almost like a 45 ACP that they just made big.
Yeah.
You know, it shoots really big, heavy bullets, and although it has some of the lighter weight bullets, that go a little faster.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like it's the king of the heavy bullets going slow, like
Yeah.
the subsonic.
It's like a freight
subsonic
train.
500 grain or subsonic 600 grain NOE bullets.
Right.
It's fun, and I like seeing what it can do. Like, I mean, the slow penetration through fluids is.
Did you have a video you did of that, didn't you?
It just blew through like 12 or 13 water jugs
Yeah.
and just kept going. The hole on the last one was like round, so it was still going straight.
Jeez.
So that's cool. It's a cool cartridge.
Yeah.
All right, and then we have one from Morgan from North Carolina. Hey, Concealed Taco Dudes. I think I saw Taco for the first time a couple of years ago when I first got interested in the 338 Spectre.
Okay.
That's that crazy little round that's 10 millimeter Magnum pistol brass. So not 10 millimeter brass, but 10 millimeter Magnum.
Jeez.
And I think Starline might be the only one who makes it, but they do
Sure.
make it and they sell it.
Uh-huh.
And you neck that down to 338. And that's a funny little cartridge because your bullets are longer than the brass case.
Oh wow.
And it fits in the AR-15 and just it's a fun cartridge to shoot.
What's
And
it called again?
338 Spectre.
338 Spectre.
It was
Okay.
designed by the same guy who designed, I believe, the 458 Socom and I forget.
And what was
which
its
others.
primary purpose when designed?
Kind of like the same type of thing as the 450 Bushmaster. Like a lot of heavy AR cartridges came out of that time. 50
Okay.
Beowulf, 458 Socom, 450
So
Bushmaster.
just a slow thumper.
Yeah, something to just knock through things. You know, if you just had to pop an AR-15 upper off your gun, throw another one on, and you could change to something that could penetrate through, you know, like cinder blocks or something like that.
Okay.
I think that was the original intent behind the
Okay.
design, but it makes it one heck of a little. So the 338 Spectre is not designed for that. I was talking about the 458 Socom designed for
Okay.
that. 338 Spectre is just, I don't know what its purpose was. Just a heavier subsonic. You know, it's a lot heavier than 300 Blackout. So,
Right.
And you
Okay.
got these high BC bullets in 338 that can they also penetrate pretty good. So 338 Spectre, kind of like a 458 Socom light.
Okay.
You know.
Something fun to play with.
Yeah, just if you're bored with AR cartridges, and there's always a new one
Something
or
else.
something that out there.
Okay.
But let's see. He says, I have always had an affinity toward off, like quote, off rounds. I prefer the 40 Smith & Wesson instead of the 9mm. I purchased a 6.8 SPC before building a 223-556. Then I built a 6.8 on a Fight Light SCR platform. I have a Smith & Wesson 610 and 10mm, and I want a Ruger Buckeye in the same. 2 questions he has. 1, what is a good way to go about getting a 6.8 SPC bolt gun? So
You're gonna have to answer that question.
that one's a little tricky. I believe Remington made one, but they don't make it anymore.
Huh.
So that would be something that you'd have to search for. And then I did find a Ruger M77 Hawkeye. They run around $600 to $700 ish.
And that's still in production?
I believe so.
Okay.
Although with the Ruger M77s, not everybody has them. Not everyone stocks them. So
Right.
that one
Might be something you could special order, though.
you special order. You know, maybe one of the online shops would be a better place to look for that. Maybe Gunbroker. But
Right.
then the third option would be going with like a custom build, because there's rifle builders who could build anything.
Right.
Together just about.
But it costs money to do
Sure.
it. So I don't know if you could take maybe take a Howa mini action or like a Remington. I think they have a mini action also. And then, but if you had a Howa mini action with a 6.5 Grendel or something, maybe I'm not sure on the bolt face.
Current case.
Yeah, if 6.5 works with the 6.8, but something like that, you could always talk to a gunsmith, talk to someone who specializes in like building random crap, like not someone who just throws on Savage barrels or something,
Right.
But, someone who really does
Somebody that's
machine work.
not just assembling parts.
And then his other question he says, is there any issues with building 338 Spectre on a New Frontier Armory on their C6.8 upper and lower? Any catastrophic concerns? And I looked at it.
Is
and
that their polymer stuff? Or is it?
I believe it's aluminum.
Okay.
And so if it's aluminum, I think you'd be totally fine.
Right.
When you buy a 338 Spectre barrel, I believe almost always come with, or they should always come with a bolt. So you got your headspace bolt and barrel, and then the receivers. I think it would be totally fine with the polymer ones. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would probably get aluminum if you can, but
Yeah.
that one specific one he mentioned, the C6.8, I think it would be fine. But I've not built one on that before, but I do have one that I built with a SBR ammunition, their bolt and barrel, and then I just threw it on a regular upper, and it works. So
Nice.
yeah, and then magazines are you want to get 6.8 SPC mags. All right, and then we have another from Zach from Montana. We're getting people all over, and he says, I just had questions about bullet casting. How long can you expect an aluminum NOE bullet mold to last compared to a Lee? And then he says, will a NOE brass bullet mold last longer than aluminum? And how does brass compare to iron in durability? What is your recommendation on mold material? And is there any difference in how you treat different materials to help with durability? Great podcast, and I would love to hear a few episodes on casting. I am always looking for more information on that subject. Thank you. So this is a perfect timing because we
happen to have an expert in the room.
Yeah. So Al, I guess maybe the first question.
Let's talk about material. What?
Yeah. So we'll get your feedback and then I'll throw my 2 cents in. But the first question of
I'll just sit here and be quiet.
How long can you expect an aluminum NOE bullet mold to last compared to a Lee?
Well, we've got some commercial casters that use our molds, and they're getting 10,000 bullets or more. I mean, they can really cast a lot of bullets. I mean, but these guys are fanatics about how they do it. You know, I mean, they sit in the casting bench hour after hour and cast and cast. But they do take care of them very well, and that's really the key to it. Is how you handle them and treat them.
Okay, so I had to throw this out there. Do you still have that one mold that Al got this one from, I guess it was maybe a dissatisfied customer saying it wasn't built good or something, but the whole edge had been like, I mean, this is hard aluminum, but he had peened the whole edge like...
It was definitely hammered on.
It looked like you took
hammer.
Like a metal, like a steel hammer, and just pounded on it for hours and hours and hours, and it was just beat up so bad.
The sprue plate was mushroomed even. I mean,
and what was the why?
It wouldn't hold. He just claimed it wouldn't hold up. I mean, he sent it back because it would not last, and it wouldn't last.
Whatever he's doing, nothing is going to last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's.
So what would you say to answer that question? Like how long would it hold up, and then maybe compared to like a Lee?
We go through pains to put out a good quality mold and use a good quality material, and I think that's the key to it is the material. Lee uses a very soft extruded material to make their blocks out of. It's got to be soft so they can get the extrusion made. Mm-hmm. So it's a 60-61 very soft material. We use a 2024 heat-treated material it's a copper-bearing alloy, so it's harder to start with. It's real stable under heat. It doesn't warp. It doesn't move. It's harder to start with. It is aluminum still. I mean, you've got to treat it very gently. I think everybody should treat every mold gently.
Mm-hmm. Even if it's a cast iron or like a iron mold, yeah.
Cast iron has a tendency to chip, or you can virtually shatter pieces of it off if you go beating on it.
With your ball peen hammer.
With your hammer.
Exactly. And that's why we make our mold mallet the way we do.
Yeah.
And your mold mallets are a polymer, right?
It's a
wood with a PVC sleeve on it.
Right. So it's not going to abuse the mold when you're knocking the sprue plate open and stuff like that.
And the key to it is to hit the sprue plate, not the mold.
Yeah.
And hit the pivot on the handle, the screw or the bolt that goes through the pivot on the handle.
Yeah.
I've had handles come back that guys have totally bent the handles from beating on them.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the molds don't line up anymore.
Gee, how'd that happen?
And then they bang on it to close it.
And just totally destroy the mold that way.
Yeah.
So use common sense.
Yeah.
They'll last you a lifetime.
Okay.
Brass, in comparison to aluminum, brass acts and heats up a lot like cast iron does. I'm going to say it has a lot of the same characteristics.
Holds the heat longer.
The thermal characteristics.
Thermal qualities as cast iron. Takes a little longer to heat them up. They hold the heat better.
Yeah.
I get a lot of old fellows that grew up on cast iron molds, and they like the brass. They really like the brass. They're heavy.
Brass is really heavy. I hate casting iron brass. It's just heavy.
It's more of a workout.
It really is.
4-cavity mold is almost 3 pounds hanging out on the end of your handle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Before you fill it with lead.
Even.
And then if you're doing that like for
Right.
hours on end.
Right.
That's where
You get
our
fatigue.
mold guide comes in really handy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean that's
So
that's
instead
a
of
good
holding
thing.
it up, you slide it onto the mold guide and let it sit. So
Right.
that carries the weight for you.
Right.
But yeah, I like our 2-cavity brass molds. I grew up with cast iron molds, but my favorite has got to be hands down a 5-cavity aluminum mold,
Yeah.
and I like 2 of them going at the
Yeah,
same time.
2 at the same time.
Gonna say.
Now, one thing I was going to say about the brass is that you got to make sure to break them in properly. And one of the issues I had once with a brass is I had an alloy that had a high tin content, and that's why I'm saying you need to break them in properly. And a little bit of smoke helps prevent what's called tinning, and that's where the tin will bond to the brass.
To the brass.
Yeah, and that's once that happens, that's kind of a
It's hard to clean it off.
Yeah.
It's real hard. I'm gonna say it's oxidization is really your friend on either aluminum or brass.
yeah.
I mean, you cast with a mold, and the more you cast with it, the more you build up the oxidization, the better it's going to cast.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
it takes a
lead
little
just
time.
doesn't stick to the
Right.
the
Yeah, it
surface
does.
as much.
It's like a
It's like
Cast
I was
iron.
gonna say it's like seasoning a cast iron
Yeah,
pan.
yeah.
seasoning in a
Yeah.
cast iron.
So with brass, that's one thing. A difference between brass and aluminum is that you just got to be careful. You don't want to get a brand new brass one and then just start casting
High
with
tin
it.
alloy.
Yeah, with a high tin alloy, and like maybe leave it in the block and throw it on your,
Yeah.
leave it like that where it has time to bond and stuff, and it'll help you. My personal preference is just like Al. I really like the 5-cavity aluminum, and I found that if you make sure to keep the sprue plate lubed and the all the places lubed that need to be lubed, so it doesn't feel like metal on metal. Like it seems like it should never feel like like bare metal on bare metal. If it feels like that,
Teflon coated sprue plates are feeling pretty good
yes,
even without some lube on them. But
Yeah.
lube always makes a
Lube
difference.
helps.
Lube does
but
help.
Teflon is really showing it's proved
people
itself.
people
Yeah.
really like that.
It's really it's yeah.
But if you keep your sprue plate lubed and you do your kind of like post care and pre care of the molds,
Mhm.
and you store them in a place where they're not getting weathered or anything, the aluminum should last you a lifetime.
A lifetime.
And
Yeah.
if you take good care, it'll last your kid's lifetime if he casts, as long as he
Right.
treats them well. But yeah, so you should be able to expect to cast thousands and thousands
Yeah.
of bullets
Yeah, easy.
with a mold,
Easy.
as long as you take care of it.
It should last your lifetime.
Yeah.
It really should.
Cool.
Okay, and let's see. Kenny T. He says, well now, thanks for the mention on the show. First, yes, I am looking at Utah air guns for that rifle. He was looking at from the last episode.
Yeah.
He's looking at the Venturi Avenger.
Right.
And he was asking about the different calibers, like the 17, 22, or like 25.
Yeah.
And he says, anyways, we gave our little recommendations, but he says, secondly, thanks for the scope suggestion, which raises another question, MOA versus mill. The scope you mentioned has both options, and I would desire to hear your discussion on the ups and downs of these two systems, if you will. And yes, mag holder Mark, I am that Kenny from Kansas. Oh, and a quick shout out to the mag holder staff. As I placed an order on some mag holders, I accidentally ordered the wrong holders. I emailed them my concern, and Mark got right back with me and said they could fix the order. I later got a call from Mrs. Mag Holder to confirm the change. All is good in the world now, as I won't be getting any mag holders for a gun I don't have or even desire to own.
Nice.
Okay, so talking about scopes and like long distance shooting, all that stuff. You have the two options. You can get there's actually kind of two options and a hybrid option. The hybrid option sucks, and people don't make that anymore.
Yeah.
So with the mill radians, the scope adjustments are usually by 10th or 0.1 mils adjustments, and on MOA, it's usually a quarter MOA. So 1 mil at 100 yards would equal to about, say, 3.6 inches, just to give you an idea. And so you'd have that divided by, tenths or whatever. And then you have MOA, which equals 1.047 inches at 100 yards. And part of it depends. Both work
Right.
fine. I think among the long range competitors, I think they just use mils because it's easier. It's what the rest of the world uses, and
With standard dimensions, it is easier.
yeah,
Yes.
everything by tens, and
Yeah.
it's like the metric system for scopes. But it kind of depends on what you learned on, and if you haven't learned on anything, you might as well just start with the mils, the mil radians. But make sure that you don't get a scope. This is the hybrid one I'm talking about, that has mil dots, and the scope adjustments are in MOA.
MOAs.
Because then you have to do all these calculations
That
and
sounds
conversions.
like a nightmare.
It is a
It
nightmare.
is.
It's horrible. It's a horrible way to do it. So I think pretty much all modern scope manufacturers have stopped doing that.
Yeah.
So, but if you're looking at a used scope or something, make sure that it's not mil dots with MOA adjustments, because then the reticle doesn't really mean much to you when
Right.
you're adjusting. But yeah, just whatever you're used to, and if you have a bunch of friends and they're all using MOA, then maybe MOA is the best thing for you, because when you go shooting with them and they're spotting for you and they tell you, 5 MOA
Right.
to, up and 2 to the right,
Right.
then you don't have to figure out what that means in mils. But if you have a bunch of people who use the mil radian system, then it's, and to be honest, I have scopes in both, and I'm just,
Content with either.
depending on who I go shooting with, then, they'll MOA or mils. So yeah, it's kind of a toss up, but if you're starting out and you don't have any friends shooting long distance,
You
just
don't
go
have
with
a preference?
go with the mil radians.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that is it for listener feedback.
That's it for listener
Yes.
feedback.
And we are like almost out of time.
Well, let's do a quick reminder about your 7-cent taco challenge.
Oh yes. So for those of you who have not seen it or heard about it, I am doing
This is on your YouTube
This is on my YouTube channel, and if you just go to my YouTube page, Full.Lead.Taco, it's on the front page. I think it's the trailer video, so
Yeah.
you should be able to click on that, watch that. It has all the rules, but it's a good opportunity to win a mil radian scope,
There you
which
go.
is pretty nice. There's actually
There you
red
go.
dots and scopes
Kenny,
and
if
stuff.
you're not doing the 7-cent taco challenge, you're just wasting your time.
And you can use any gun that you want, any distance. You can use an air gun if you want. And
But you have to fire 7 shots.
there's one guy who used a Red Ryder
Cool.
Nice.
because
Cool.
his range was closed.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't do this.
So
But I do have a Red Ryder. I was like,
Did it in his backyard.
use it. Yeah, go ahead.
Nice.
So he posted a video. So anyways, yeah, check out that video. And then we're going to do, let's see, the giveaways that we've already done. We have
The last couple took their time getting us their information, so
Kick Clock, the guy who won the NOE package,
Yeah.
for some reason, my responses back to him he wasn't getting. So he
Oh.
kept sending, hey, I'm just sending messages like, hey, wondering if you got my message. And we're
Yeah.
like, yeah, dude, So we have his mold here in the studio
It'll be
with the package. And so Jason should be able to,
You need to give me his address.
I'll give you
though.
his address today.
Okay.
But Jason should
We'll
be able
get
to
that
ship
shipped
it.
out as well as the chronograph.
The chronograph, yeah.
And the Utah Air Guns hat.
Okay.
That'll be going out. Do we want to do a self-defense in the news, or do we want to save it for next time?
Let's go ahead and do it.
Okay.
This is one that Mark Housekeeper sent in.
He finds good ones. Police say that 2 brothers were killed in a gunfight after they forced their way into a home in a suburb of Chicago. The brothers allegedly...
Henry wants to
Henry's getting...
play.
He's not getting any
He's
news
like-
from me, so he's trying to get his nose under Taco's arm so Taco will pet him. Leave him alone. Anyway, the brothers allegedly walked up to the home in Waukegan at about 10 a.m. Tuesday, armed with one revolver, and forced their way in when a woman who was renting the home answered the door. So they knock on the door, she answers, they push their way in. It's a shame that they couldn't afford 2 guns, because things might have gone better for them. But she was babysitting a toddler at the time and began screaming for help. Waukegan police say that a man who rents a downstairs room at the home heard the screams, grabbed his pistol, and ran to investigate. The man shot one of the brothers, who dropped the gun after being hit. Good decision, shoot the guy with the gun first.
Yep.
He goes down, drops the gun. The other brother then retrieved the gun and began dragging his brother out of the house. That's a good brother right there. The renter went back to grab a loaded assault rifle and engaged in a gunfight with the second brother. Multiple shots were fired on both sides. So full-blown gunfight going on. One with a revolver, one with probably an AR-15, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Both brothers were found dead on the lawn by police when they arrived at the home. None of the victims were injured in the harrowing incident. Both the woman and the man who rent the home had valid firearms owner's identification cards.
Which you shouldn't need.
Which you shouldn't need, but it's Chicago, so...
Yeah.
You know, there was a time when he couldn't have even had that AR-15 in Chicago, so
Yeah.
at least that's progress. While neither of the 2 brothers had a license, yet they had a gun.
Yeah.
How does that happen? So clearly their program's working well. keep everybody safe. They said they did not know who the brothers were or why they had targeted their home. The brothers were identified as Christian Tenorio, 36, and Jimmy Tenorio, 34, both of Waukegan. I can't remember the last time where we had 2 people try to break into a home, if that's what this ends up to be, where they're shot and found in the front yard, said Waukegan Police Commander. This is a very isolated and specific incident, and I don't recall ever having anything like this, he added. No charges have been filed, and the case is being investigated by the Waukegan Police Criminal Investigation Division. It's Chicago, dude. People are kicking in doors all the time. What do you mean you haven't seen this before? Interesting story.
Maybe that's a nice area or something. I don't know.
Maybe it is. I don't know. If you're from Waukegan, I guess that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, let us know what your neighborhood's like. But
So you can stop by, say hi.
yeah, I mean, prepared people once again. 10 a.m. Seems like an odd time for a home invasion, but we live in odd times.
Yeah, for sure.
Good story. Thanks, Mark, for sharing that with us.
Okay, let's hit some sponsors real fast.
Okay.
We got Concealment Solutions.
Yes.
Once again, I went camping this weekend.
Yeah.
And I took the garter, the air tank garter. What are you going to name that thing?
I don't know yet. The air tank carrier stand
handle
thingy. That sounds like a good name.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
catchy.
think so. But
Sure, tank.
yeah, and when I was at I took it into Utah Air Guns to get it filled.
Uh-huh.
And while I was there was a guy with a backpack with the air tank in it and stuff. And I had to show him my fancy Concealment Solutions garter.
What did he say?
Air tank. He said that he had bought some holsters from you before, and so he seemed interested in that little tank carrier. But
still working on a reasonable price point. I may actually offer them without any of the cordage, and just let people buy their own cordage and then cut it and give them the instructions, and that will save some expense on my end. But I don't know.
You could have 2 options, one with, one without.
One with and one without.
Yeah.
So.
But I will say it was handy. That air tank that rolls around, it doesn't stand up, and with this thing, you just it can stand up, or you can set it down and it doesn't roll.
Right.
And so for filling up the air tanks, it's nice. We took a bunch of air guns on our camping trip, and with another family, and we shot a bunch of air guns and real guns. But
cool.
Yeah, it's kind of fun shooting both.
Yeah.
Worked well.
Nice.
And Mag Holder, what was his coupon code?
Finally. Use the code. I think Get in the Van, I have candy.
Still works.
And I think they're probably the same discount.
Same discount.
I can't imagine.
Try both of them. Get in the Van, I have candy, and then try Finally and see which one gives you a better discount.
Right.
But yeah, horizontal mag carriers.
Yeah, and then the new designs that are rolling out are ambidextrous. You can flip the clips to turn it around. Great retention. Yeah, that's what I use for my 365. So, good stuff over at Magholder.
And then Black Ice Coatings, blackicecoatings.com.
I didn't give out my discount code.
What's your discount code?
My discount code was Show Me the Candy.
Show Me the Candy.
Show Me the Candy is actually not going to last a whole long time because it's more than 15% discount.
Ooh.
And I'm throwing in the
stickers.
The Concealed Taco Dude's bumper sticker.
Nice.
So.
All right.
Anyway.
So
Black Ice Coatings.
Black Ice Coatings, they do gun coatings, Cerakoting, Teflon coating, and hydro dipping.
Yeah.
Or the water transfers.
All fantastic stuff.
Yeah, I need to take some stuff over there, and I need to figure out what would be a good gun to get that pig print on. But anyways, Black Ice Coatings.
Get one of the air guns done.
No, I can't. Because I already have them sighted in and dialed in and everything's working awesome, and I don't want to get them taken apart and have to redo it.
I'm going to have them do the stock.
Maybe if I get a new gun, maybe I'll get that Dream Light and have them do the pig print on it, and that'll be my little Slayer gun.
There you go.
So, Black Ice Coatings, use coupon code SLICKERY to save you something, maybe. But talk to Lee, and he'll take care of you.
Yep, good stuff.
Let's real quick go through what we did with guns.
Okay, I'm done.
You did nothing? You can still carry?
I had a short week. It was a race weekend for my daughter and the high school mountain bike teams that I coach. So we were in Moab racing, which meant I had a lot of work that I had to get done in 4 days. So I did nothing but work all last week.
All right.
But I did modify somebody's nutsack.
Al's face. That woke him up.
A custom nutsack. If you're not on my social media channels, you should check out the custom.
Check out your custom nutsack.
Customized nutsack.
So a nutsack, for the people who don't know what one is what?
It's actually a really nice high-end man bag or merce. Waxed cotton canvas and leather, and anyway, guy brought it in, has Molly on the inside, wanted to carry his Smith & Wesson R8.
Oh, really?
Off body in that, and he's using moon clips with it, and he wanted 2 holders for his moon clips, which were really kind of tricky, but I put together some cool stuff, and he says I want him to Velcro in. Well, it's Molly gear, so
you had to build in a Velcro adapter?
Well, it was really pretty. I believe in simplicity. If I can build something that's simple, it'll last longer and be more effective most times than not. So what I did is I cut strips of Kydex that slid down into the Molly slots, and I just put Velcro, the soft side of the Velcro on that, and it all stuck in there really nicely. And actually, I modified a shoulder rig that he brought in also. That he bought this really high-end leather shoulder holster, and it didn't even fit the gun. And so I made a Kydex piece that hung off his shoulder rig also. But anyway.
Al, what'd you do?
Oh, we just made bullet molds.
Made bullet molds. Ooh, and some bullets. Al is always casting, too. What is this that you're showing me?
That's that 38.
Oh, this is that dang, that looks like it's the 195 grain.
358.
Wow, for the snubby.
Yep.
It looks like an old 2002 BMW. It looks the same coming and going.
That's cool.
Studebaker.
Man. So, when are these going to be done?
I hope Tuesday.
Tuesday they'll be listed in the shop?
We're here again. We're fighting RG pins, but we'll have it under control here shortly. And that's the first cast there.
That's cool. All right. So me, I did lots of stuff. I won't talk about everything. But I had Evan over last week, and we did some casting.
Oh, yeah.
He did a bunch of casting with the new NOE 115 grain bevel base 9mm mold.
Okay.
and I was on the other pot casting some pellets.
You're on the pot.
I was on the pot casting.
Okay.
Yeah. I was working on my casting pot.
Let me see those.
Casting. I did some 30 cal pellets.
Okay.
I did the short stubby slug,
Okay.
and that one is a 22 cal. And then I did the 22 cal wad cutter pellet. And
Nice.
I will say that 22 cal wad cutter pellet has
It's deadly.
It is deadly. It has 5 confirmed kills already.
Nice.
But isn't it crazy how much different that 30 cal pellet is from that 22 cal pellet?
Yes.
The 30 cal
it's
pellet
like-
is like
It's like the difference between a 223 and a 50 BMG.
I mean, it looks like a huge difference. So that's,
Yeah.
anyways. I did a bunch of casting, and then I took these out, and I did some shooting, air gun shooting when we went camping, and we did some regular gun shooting, and of course they chose the bunny fart loads with the 300 blackout pistol,
single shot.
and the single shot pistol, and the CVA, and then I brought my golden gun, the Glock 34.
Yeah.
With the red dot on top and suppressor, and did some shooting. So I simplified and only brought 3 guns. And
No way. I
those
don't
were-
believe that for a minute.
those were the 3 I chose, or that everyone chose that they wanted to shoot, is the Glock and then the 2 300 blackout firearms.
And then how many air guns?
And then I brought all my air guns.
Okay.
And my
Sport,
wife,
yeah.
my wife actually got a kick out of shooting the Blitz, the Hotson Blitz.
Oh, I bet.
It seems like it's not as reliable on full auto as
That probably makes sense.
as
but-
semi-auto,
Yeah.
but
Did you have any major malfunctions or issues with it?
not
or-
major. It's just sometimes you have to kind of cock it back again
Yeah.
and then do
Just
it again.
hangs up.
But yeah, so the Hotson Blitz, but semi-auto. I just flipped it on semi-auto, and then everybody was just shooting. It's kind of cool to have an air gun that was semi-auto,
Yeah,
and
I bet.
people were just, and it's 30 cal, so when you hit something, it
With authority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it doesn't quite hit like those 130 grain bunny farts that
Right.
light for
Yeah.
caliber, but it's
Right.
quite a bit heavier than a
Heavy for air.
Make a nice
Yeah.
impact.
yeah.
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 So we did that, and then they shot the Ed gun, and I actually didn't bust out the FX.
Oh.
So we shot the
really?
little Diana Bandit bolt action pistol, and
Still need to get one of those.
yeah, I think they're sold out.
They have been.
They get them in,
you
and
you
they
got it just
I
at the
bet.
right time because
Yeah.
they had a table full of them.
yeah, and they sell out super fast because
Yeah.
it's a fun.
Well, they're cheap,
Cheap
and they're good, reliable
pistol, yeah.
guns. Yeah.
So, anyways, that's what I did. I did some other stuff, but yeah, I loaded a ton of ammo, some
Nice.
9mm and 223.
Right on. Well, I think we have exhausted our time.
Yes, that is correct.
So,
So thanks
for joining.
us, and thanks Al for joining
bet.
during
You
this podcast episode.
thanks for all the feedback. Keep it coming. That keeps things interesting on our end.
Yeah.
Lets us know that we're at least doing something mildly worthwhile for you guys.
And if there's a topic you want us to focus on, send us an email at concealedtacodudes@gmail.com, and we'll take a look.
Yep.
Okay. Until next time, stay safe, have fun,
Take a liberal shooting.
share your ammo. Be nice.
See you next week.
I don't say much, so I was not a whole hell of a lot more.
Do you want to do the intro?
No.
I remember last time.
Yeah.
Welcome to Concealed Taco Bell or
Exactly.